This week on the podcast, Carrie and I are back from our little mini break over the holidays. We're excited to kick off the year with the first podcast of 2022. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. Hi, I'm Francine.
And I'm Carrie.
We're two best friends who can't stop talking, usually about Disney stuff.
Sometimes we have fascinating guests, and sometimes it's just us. But it's always positive and fun.
We're happy to have you join our chat. Thanks for listening, and let's get started. Happy New Year, Carrie.
Happy New Year.
Woohoo!
We're back.
We are back. 2022.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. It feels like for the first time in forever. It's been a while.
Yep. We took a little break.
We did. So I'm probably going to address that right out of the gate. I know it kind of fell right over the holidays. So it was kind of convenient that we said we took some time off for the holidays. But unfortunately, my sister got sick just before Christmas and was admitted to hospital. And she's still in hospital. She's getting treatment and on the road to recovery. But it was a bit crazy with COVID restrictions, lots of upheaval. So we took a break because, of course, I couldn't record or edit or whatever. So thank you for entertaining my break. But, it's very important to Becky that we also continue Pixie Dust Fan. So she's lying in her hospital bed saying to me, have you recorded a podcast yet? Like, are you back at it? So
we had to tell her, but podcasters, they take breaks. Perhaps some of them have seasons and they take longer breaks. They take the summer off. We're just taking Christmas off. Yeah. Because it's Christmas.
She was giving us such grief about it. So, anyway, she's getting better and, we are back. So, yes. So we had a couple weeks off and now we're back recording again. It's nice to be back.
It is.
And sure. It's so weird when we don't schedule time to talk and share like just fun stuff. And it's almost like the weeks just go by so quick.
They do, for sure.
We had plans. We had plans for episodes that kind of made sense for the end of the year, but now we're adapting.
Yeah.
We're adapting
them, and they'll be January episodes.
So we wanted to talk about like the year-end wrap-up, a look back at what we did in 2021.
Yep.
And because it was like, Carrie, how fast did that go by?
It went by so fast. Yeah, we did, and we did so much.
Yeah. Like when we started talking about putting this episode together of looking back at what we did in 2021, I don't know about you, but didn't it feel like it feels like forever ago, but yet yesterday?
Yep. Exactly.
Does that make sense? Like it feels like do you remember last January, like a year ago, we were both like completely sure we were not getting back to the parks ever again.
Yeah. We weren't singing for the first time in forever.
No. Do you remember? Because we were still recording the podcast every week. But truth be told, if we were honest, we were struggling big time trying to stay positive and in amongst all the COVID stuff. We were really struggling to stay positive and to do the podcast because we both were kind of like, but we haven't been.
Yeah, what do we got to talk about? We don't remember. We know, not that we don't remember how things are, but like things have changed. Like we can't talk about what it's really like there because we don't know what it's really like there.
Exactly.
And really at the start of last year, we went into another serious into a lockdown again, right? Like where we couldn't go shopping. We were kind of back to, the way it was when it first began last winter and into the spring. So
And honestly, with this new variant and all this craziness, I feel like we're in the same spot again.
We're kind of back.
365 days later.
I think just now
we got
is
some trips on. We did
get some trips. I just think the difference between now and then is that we're just used to it. Like
it's amazing what we can get used to, eh? The anxiety is so much better, isn't it?
Well, a little. In some ways, it's better. In some ways, it's not. But it's more that like whatever. Like there's another variant. I'm just not going anywhere. Like
right.
I can work here. I can watch. I can stream I've got internet, and I can work.
Yep.
From home. And I got a whole bunch of puzzles to keep me going. In the meantime, I got a craft room full of supplies. Like at this point, like I don't fine. I'm just not going anywhere. Like variant is spreading. Come and find me. It's gotta come. It's gotta come to me at this point. Which it could be possible. Someone could bring it to me. But at this point, it's gotta find me at home in my jammies with my cats.
Our first episode of the year last year was overrated and underrated at Hollywood Studios, followed by our top 3 Pixar movies of all time. Because we were like, remember, I was like on this kick. I was going to watch all the Pixar movies again because they were kind of feel good. And remember, I was like so obsessed with watching the movies. Yeah,
you were like, let's watch all the movies. I'm like, okay, let's do that. And then we didn't watch them all, but then we still had to do the episode. I'm like, I don't think you understand how many Pixar movies there are.
I know. I think I was very delusional at that point yeah. And then you know who else we talked with in January was Elantris.
Oh,
that doesn't it just feel like yesterday? But it was last January. It was a year ago that we had Elantris on the podcast. And Elantris, for those of you listening, is if you go to Instagram, Diz Through Brown Eyes, and she shares all the best merch and her travels, and she's just lovely. She's just absolutely lovely. And then we finally got to meet her this year in person at Destination D.
Yep,
that was fun. That was fun. We have to have her back on again.
I know we keep saying that, and we've mentioned it to her. We need to put her on the docket. I'm gonna write that down right now. Just talk amongst yourself.
Right, and then we had Julia on in February.
Right,
and she was such a firecracker and so much fun. And then since then, she was living in New York, I think, when we talked to her. And now she's moved back to Florida and she's working at Walt Disney World. She's a Jungle Cruise skipper.
That's very cool. We managed not to go on a Jungle Cruise with her when we've been there, which we kept saying we needed to find her and go on a cruise.
Yeah, we didn't. That was, that's on our list of things to do.
Okay, wait, talk amongst yourself. I'm going to put that on the Walt Disney World list to do.
Oh, are you? Okay. But the other thing that we had, and because Carrie, like when you think back to these things, like they were all so much fun. Like Julia was so positive though, right? Like she was such a positive energy. Like anybody listening, if you haven't gone back and listened to our other episodes, some of these are ones that you're going to want to go back and listen to. Julia was one of them. But in March, we had Cam. And Cam was a performer, Streets of Hollywood, or what is it called? The Citizens of Hollywood.
Citizens of Hollywood, yeah.
Citizens of Hollywood.
Yeah. At Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, and he was one of the actors who were unfortunately laid off when the world closed. And he opened his own company as like an online entertainer. And he's got his own company now. He's doing fantastic.
I know that it's awesome. It was awesome to watch him on social media all year to see what he was doing and what he was accomplishing.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
He started out hosting like these little parties, like little events online where he would assume a character and then host an event. He actually did one for Angela at Pure Magic Vacations. He did one for her. And she was raving about it. And now it's like I think he got contracted not long ago by Disney to do something for them, but that's through his own company now. Yeah. Like, how cool is that?
Very.
A lot of the cast members ended up going on to do different things after they were laid off last year. Mm-hmm. There's a whole group on Facebook dedicated to them finding different things. People are doing rides to and from the airport. Like old minivan drivers are now doing airport runs with their own car or delivering groceries or Charcuterie boards. She wasn't a cast member, but all of a sudden I got hungry.
Sabrina's Delicacies.
Yes, Sabrina's Delicacies. That's when next time you're in Walt Disney World and you need a good charcuterie board, that's who you call.
See, a lot of them have done like Etsy shops and started their own businesses, like entertainment businesses, and just, you know, put a spin on what they did before, like put their creativity to something different.
Yeah. So fun. And, you know, we also had in March, if you haven't listened to this episode, people, you need to go back and listen. It was so big. It was 2 episodes, was Miss Terry Harden.
That was very special.
It was awesome. Terry Harden is a puppeteer. This was the whole, you know how we ended up with Terry? Did we ever tell the story of how we ended up talking to Terry Harden? You and I on one of the podcasts, we were talking about the Muppets and some puppets. And I asked you the question, what's the difference between a Muppet and a puppet? Mm-hmm. And we were debating what's the difference between a Muppet and a puppet. And our friend Cheryl was listening to the podcast and said, there's probably only one person who could answer that, Terry Harden. Yes. And because Terry worked on the Muppets, like she worked with Jim Henson, and she's a puppeteer, and she's an Imagineer.
She's an Imagineer.
And Cheryl reached out to Terry and asked her if she'd be on the podcast, and bam, she showed up.
Bada boom, bada bing. She's there. And I think with the thing, like with Terry, after we had her on, like I started to pay attention to her a little bit more on her social media and her YouTube lives and things that she does. And you can have a dose of Terry Harden in your life, like every week. Like she does live videos with her, like she does certain things, I think, for her Patreon people, but she just does like public lives on YouTube, and she's awesome. Like just so what she exudes in our episode is her, and she brings that to people and chats with her fans and her followers on these lives. So I don't like they happen during the day, so I'm working. So
me too, and I always want to go.
So I don't listen to them. Like I sometimes tune her in while I work, and I'll listen and try to pay attention a little bit. But I guess I could watch them later as well. But like I would always get the notifications that she's going live or whatever. But yeah, like if you listen and you like her, like you can kind of stay in tune with what she's up to and just, you know.
She was just really positive. Yeah. Like unbelievably positive. And, you know, at the end of the episode, she was asking us questions. Like, what's important to us? What are our dreams? What do we like? She was just amazing. And yeah, so it was 2 episodes. We had to break her into 2 episodes.
Yeah, we could probably have her on so many more times. She's got so many stories to tell and so much knowledge and to impart to us, and just her creativity is unbelievable. Yeah, she was awesome. Yeah. And then right after her, you know, who showed up in April? Ding
but
dong.
Mr. Lou Mangello. That was crazy. We were, you know what? We spent a lot of time like kind of fangirling last year, didn't we?
I think so. Like so far, we're only at April. I fangirled over Elantris like big time because I was so excited. Because like I followed her, I swear, and I say to this day, if there was a way I could figure it on Instagram who my first people I followed were, I'm pretty sure she's one of them. Yeah. I totally fangirled over Elantris, and even when
you were like beside yourself when she was coming on.
She's so like whatever Instagram. She's my Instagram queen. Like I've always loved her. But yeah, then we went to we were a little bit like that with Cam too. Like, you know, because he was a pretty cool dude, you know, and he was funny as heck. Like we were laughing and giggling, and he was
gosh,
he was so funny. And then Terry, like, oh my goodness, like who would have thought we'd have Terry Harden on for 2 episodes.
Like this woman's just talking to us and telling us stories about like when I was working with Michael Jackson. And the 2 of us are sitting here like, oh my gosh, like this woman knows everybody. She's worked with everybody. And here she is just shooting it with us like just chilling with us. And yeah,
she probably has thousands of stories like that.
I know. That was pretty cool. And Lou, he would like, oh my gosh. Yeah, we kind of fangirled over him too. And he's so genuine and so nice and so like welcoming as a, like, just totally cool that, at the Destination D, like here we are. First we were like, oh my gosh, we're going to see Elantris. And she actually was walking by, spotted us, and came over to say hi. So we were kind of like, oh my gosh, like totally big deal. And then you saw Lou, and you were like, I'm going to say hi. And right. He was so nice. Yeah. So nice to see and chat with us in person. And
yeah, it's like he recognizes that we're part of this community. And he was like that with us on the call, right? Like, from the get-go, like, you know, that's cool.
Yeah, like, doesn't it feel like it's almost like they made us feel like we were really part of the community? Like, we weren't just playing around. Like, we have a successful podcast, Carrie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because to us, we're just up here in the Great White North every week popping out a podcast. Like, and we know people when we know people listen, but you know, it's just it's our ears with these headphones and a microphone. that we it doesn't really sink
register.
In.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like it's kind of different. So we have people who listen and we get reviews and feedback and we love every bit of it. And we're always amazed, like, oh my gosh, these people are listening from wherever they're listening from when we get the feedback from them. But then to have someone like Lou Mongello kind of recognize us as being podcasters, it almost makes us feel like official. Like we have arrived. We have arrived. We're not just playing around anymore. Like even though it just feels like we're playing, because it is kind of like we play. That's what it is when we record. We're just playing and having fun.
Mm-hmm. I think when we get the comments and people reach out to us, like that's the podcast. We talk to people that are just like us, and they you know. That's the whole thing, like to find people to listen that are like, yeah, I totally get them. As kooky and crazy as cat loving and Muppet loving as Carrie is, as, you know, t-shirt loving and tea drinking as Fran is, like, we just want to be relatable to the people that, you know, can look at us and be like, oh, they're, you know, I get them and they get me. They get me.
We get you.
Like, that's what it's all like, you know, to that level, that's it for me. Like, just to, you know, have people connect at the level that we're at. But yeah, and then you're rubbing elbows with Lou. It's like,
whoa.
Wow.
And then, so that was in April, Carrie. And then in May, we dared to dream of our first day back. We were like, what's it going to be like when we go back? What would be your first day? What would, you know, in the parks? And at that point, it was kind of like, do we think it'll ever happen? Will we get back to the parks?
Yeah, you were saying yes, and I was like, yeah, probably not.
You're like, yeah, no, I'm not going. And then we had our friends Amy and Kimberly talk to us about what it's like to travel with kids in the summer. Mm-hmm. Which was kind of fun because you and I don't have kids. So when we do this and we talk about it, for the most part, unless we're there with someone else's kids, it's generally adults that we're vacationing with. So it was kind of fun to get like the kid perspective.
Yeah, they did a good job. They brought their tips, right? Their travel.
Yes. Yeah.
Their travel tips.
Yeah. And then, see, it's funny. We talk about Lou makes us feel like official, like we're part of the community. But Carrie, we celebrated 100 episodes in June. Isn't that bizarre?
That's a lot. 100.
That's a lot. 100 episods.
What do we, like, I guess I know what we talked about. We just talked about what we talked about over the last the first 6 months of the year or whatever. But
yeah. It's insanity that we did 100, like we celebrated 100. Like, Carrie, this will be like 128. This episode is like 128.
Nutty.
I know. I love it though. Yes, we had that celebration. That was fun. That was when we did our little photo shoot. Remember, you came here and we tried to do a photo shoot.
I think we were still I don't know if we were supposed to be. We were sort of. We kind of lockdown, or
I think we kind of broke a little bit of lockdown because we were two separate households. But I figured because I hadn't seen anybody, I really wasn't what we decided we were going to be part of each other's bubble. Is that?
Yeah. I think that's what I think. That's when we saw each other around that time. We would realize we were in each other's bubble. You don't go anywhere. I don't go anywhere.
Exactly.
So we could be household. Part of each other's household bubbles.
And for everybody listen, like us doing a photo shoot, like it was pretty hysterical. We're,
like when we say photo shoot, we're not talking we're talking an iPhone 12.
We had the phone propped up and on a timer, and we were just goofing around.
Yeah, really, it was just a reason to get together and eat some cupcakes.
Pretty much. Yeah, they were good cupcakes.
So yeah, the photo shoot was us trying to do a photo shoot. Nothing.
Yeah.
We didn't rent anything special or do anything different.
We had a lot of good stuff going on last year, but finally in August, I managed to get to Walt Disney World. Mm-hmm. That was oh my gosh, can't believe this is happening. It was fantastic. It was like the trip that never ended.
And you went for a month.
I did. And I loved every minute of it after I got over the initial anxiety for the first few days. But yes, it finally happened. And then it was like the floodgates opened. And then we were there in October. And then we were there in November. And we got to do Destination D. And you know what else we had on the podcast last year? We had someone announce their pregnancy to the world on the podcast. Our friend Cheryl.
That was very cool. That we were surprised. We didn't expect that. That's for sure.
No, we were completely she gave us no heads up whatsoever. We just said, what's your pixie dust? And then boom, she drops that bombshell. We're like, what?
Sneaky bugger.
That was awesome. Cheryl's always so much fun to have on. We had Jeremy kind of talk to us a little bit about his solo travel in September. This was all kind of everybody getting back into the world of travel again. Mm-hmm. But then I think this might be the second time that we really felt official. Like we are podcasters. Is
that what we're called?
I think so. Because we were there in October celebrating my birthday when we got a message on Instagram after we did our Muppets Haunted Mansion episode.
Oh, dear.
Carrie, I don't think I'll ever forget that.
When we got a message from Kelly.
We were
first name basis, Kelly.
Kelly, because our friend Kelly, Younger, the executive producer and writer of the Muppets Haunted Mansion, knows Kermit personally, Gonzo, right? Pepe. He's one of the famous peoples. When he sent us a message on Instagram saying that we were delightful and that he loved our episode review of the Muppets Haunted Mansion, I think you and I could have passed out. We were walking into Epcot, I remember it like it was yesterday, because we were walking into Epcot and I get this message saying, oh, this is so delightful, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Kelly Younger. Carrie, do you know Kelly Younger? And then we Googled and we were like, oh, the Kelly Younger. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. And then it was
that's the highlight of that.
Do we message him back? What do we say? What do we do? How do we say this? This guy works with the Muppets. Yeah.
What I would like to have something like that, the Muppets Haunted Mansion come out and love it so much, and then to have that happen, just that entire experience around that TV at the Muppets episode is not our episode, just Muppets Haunted Mansion coming to be. It was just the best ever. Everything about that whole time you know, the fact that I watched it on opening day 7 times or however many times. Like, I've watched it so many times I can't even count.
It's so
and
awesome.
And then, like, love it so much, and then have us do the episode, like a Muppet-only episode where you let me babble on and act silly and say all the
But Carrie, do you know how
things.
many people have reached out and said they could totally hear your excitement in it? Like, they loved hearing Carrie, like, go overboard about the Muppets, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. and then have Kelly reach out and have him on our episode like the very next week.
Well, like, he said we were delightful. It's kind of nuts. Yeah.
We don't get that delightful comment very often.
We do not. But that was pretty cool. Like, to have someone like that not just reach out, but listen to us. Like, he sat and listened to us. Which, you know, if you go, like, I listened to the I started listening to half the episode, and then I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so embarrassed. Like, this man sat and listened to us go, blah, 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 blah. But he did. He did. It was pretty cool. That was, so yeah, we were totally official then. Yeah. And we're like, be cool. But we couldn't. Like, we just, you know what, Carrie, every time we try to be like, be cool, we can't.
We just gotta be
us.
Just gotta be.
Yeah, we just gotta be us. And then, yeah, like we celebrated my big birthday in October. That was quite a celebration.
That was awesome.
Along with Walt Disney World's big celebration. But you know what, like it's just been the tests, the COVID, the travels, it was quite an eventful year.
It was. I think, and at a point, it started to move pretty at a different pace, and yeah.
It was almost like the floodgates opened, and we were like, we're back, we're good, we're comfortable, we're there.
And like what we said at the start of the year was so true. But yeah, as the year went on, and then with the traveling, like I would go, like right now there's a drama with the new variant, but once you open the floodgates, I'd go every single month if I could, or go whenever I could. So like relief that we finally got to travel. But,
yeah. And then, like, yes, you came to celebrate my birthday, but like you kind of made fun of me a little bit for going for a month in August, and then like you didn't tell anybody, and then ta-da, Carrie was gone for like a month, right?
I wasn't gone for that long, a couple of weeks. Oh,
come on. You were in Disneyland for like 2.5 weeks.
Well, I went to Disney. I went for your birthday, then came home for like not even 2 weeks, I don't think. And then I went to Disneyland and then to Florida. So I think that trip was maybe like 15 or 16 days. I wasn't gone for a whole month.
No, you were in Disneyland for like 2.5 weeks.
No,
and then,
I wasn't.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks you were there.
No,
like
I was
Carrie,
there I arrived on a Sunday, and then I stayed through to the following Wednesday. Because then I went to Destination D, and then I went home the following Monday. So I was like 2 weeks in a day, maybe.
Yeah, it was a pretty long one.
But I wasn't home for very long. I was actually...
No, you were home for like a few days, or like it wasn't long.
I was really nervous that there was going to be something like that second trip. I was not getting excited for it until my COVID test was done, because I was so afraid, like... Because I had traveled, that there was going to be some rule that, like, I hadn't been home for 14 days. I didn't really think all that stuff through, so I was feeling anxiety, thinking, like, instead of, like, finding out the facts, I suppose.
Right.
I was, like, nervous, like, they were going to be like, no, you traveled. You can't travel again.
You can't go.
You can't, your test can't be done quite yet, or whatever, whatever. Like, I was kind of nervous that, like, something was going to, like, pop out, and I wouldn't be able to travel. So I really wasn't excited until I got my...
Well, and you didn't tell anybody on the podcast either. Like, you didn't tell anybody because you were so afraid of jinxing it.
Yeah, I'm big on the whole jinx thing.
You're like very superstitious. Superstitious.
Well, like, I don't want to be going on and on about going on to Disneyland and then be like, guess what, guys?
I can't go.
Didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. It was a very eventful year for trips and things like that. And we got some great reviews, feedback. I got to meet listeners in the parks. Like, how crazy was that?
You're famous peoples. You talk about everyone else
famous
being famous peoples, but you're famous peoples too.
I don't think so. I think but I think it's pretty cool. We did get a new review and I in the last couple of weeks that we missed, and it's a 5-star review, Carrie, just in case you're wondering. It's a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. So if you're listening, please review us on Apple Podcasts. Oh, and actually now Spotify has like the little star ratings too. So if you're listening on Spotify, if you could rate us there too, that would be fabulous. But this one
would be delightful.
It would be delightful.
It would be delightful of them to do that.
Yes. This one is titled My Favorite Disney Podcast. Aha. Carrie says it right in the intro. It's always positive and fun. It's lots of fun to listen to Carrie and Fran talking about all things Disney without any drama or gossip. They're kind, warm, and it truly feels like chatting about Disney with friends. And that's Amy.
Oh,
it's our friend
cool.
Amy. So so thank you, Amy. We really appreciate that. And Amy's been on the podcast, but I know she listens every week because we often get notes from her where she'll send us a note, be like, "Oh my gosh, you were so right about this," or I thought the same thing here, or whatever. And yeah, it's kind of cool. We love getting reviews.
Yeah. Or little messages to say that, they agree with me or they agree with you or I don't think you're crazy, Carrie, because you said that. I've had that a few times, I think.
You've had that one a few times. Yeah. Carrie, you're not crazy.
We love that too.
Yes. Well, this was our kind of look back at how crazy the year was. And we've got but Carrie, so it's a brand new year. It's a brand new year and so much to look forward to.
It's going to be pretty hard to top, all those wonderful guests and from the podcast perspective.
Exactly. So what are we going to do for 2022?
Well, I think that's a different podcast episode.
Oh, you think so? We got to do a whole new episode.
I think we need to do an episode about what we think, what we plan to do in 2022. And maybe what's on our, I think we should put together, Terry Harden told us that we should, what we want and what we want to achieve, we need to tell people and we need to put it out there in the world because nobody knows and nobody can help you get to where you need to be if they don't know.
Right.
So I think
she was very adamant about that.
Yes. And had examples of how that's how she has seen that happen. So yeah, I think we should talk about what our plans are for 2022 because we've done that in the past where we talked about the year to come. But I think we should put a little bucket list of what we would like to do on the podcast. Like some of them might be a little out there and most of them will be reasonable.
You think?
Topics, but then I think
would Harrison Ford be in the out there category?
Yeah, that would definitely be in the out there. But I think let's keep up with tradition and keep him on the list. I'll keep Kermit the Frog on the list, and you can keep Harrison Ford on the list. But yeah, I think
maybe we should put it out there of who we'd like to maybe have back and who we actually dream of having on. Mm-hmm. That would be fun. Okay, so that's a good episode.
We can do that.
You know what I'd love? For people to write in and tell us who they think they would love to hear.
That would be good.
Like, who would you like us to interview? And of course, you could say Harrison Ford. You could message him and let him know. That would be great. But I could never even speak to him. I could never speak to him. Like, who are we kidding? Like, come on. But I'd love to hear people tell us who they would like us to reach out to have on the podcast.
Because sometimes we don't.
We don't think about it.
We don't think about it. Like we have ideas or we get kind of, stuck on who we would like to have on, like other creators or other podcasts and whatever. But yeah, I think there's stuff right in front of us that would be easy to do and easy to connect with somebody. And we're just not thinking. We're not thinking that way. So yeah, any ideas or suggestions?
Yes, that would be fun.
We could reach out to.
Yes.
Or, and talk, we have lots of topics. But sometimes we just depends on if we feel like talking about them or, when we were at home for all that time, we were struggling with doing some of them because we felt we were, out of touch a little bit with
Yes. Now that we've actually been back to the parks, it's so much better to be able to talk about those things. So we do have a bunch of topics in the hopper that we're going to be able to talk about because now we've been back. But yes, for sure, for sure. I want to hear everybody's suggestions about who you'd like us to reach out to have on the podcast. That would be fun. Cool. Okay. Carrie.
Yep.
Pixie Dust. How are you going to start 2022? What is your Pixie Dust of the week?
Well, my Pixie Dust is that at the last week of work, or maybe it was the week before the last week of work, because at my work we closed down between Christmas and New Year's.
Right.
So our last day of work was the 23rd. So the week before, they told us that we were shutting down for an extra week. So my Pixie Dust is that
you get an extra week off?
Not back to work till the 10th. So still on holidays.
Carrie,
no, and I shouldn't say holidays because there's no deductions of vacation days. There's no VACs being deducted for this time.
Oh my gosh,
but we got
that's
an extra
crazy.
Paid week off because things are a little crazy and I'm expecting that back to school or back to online learning or whatever it might be for families might be a little crazy in the new year. So I think they just wanted to give us some extra time to kind of get our ducks in order and take the time we need just to do what needs to be done.
That's so fantastic.
So that was
nice.
That was awesome. Like I couldn't even believe it. Like I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like
nice.
So we're watching all of the Avengers movies, the Marvel movies.
Gary, so you're going to be my new, we're going to be able to talk Marvel. You're going to explain everything to me. You're going to be like the Avengers person, so you can explain it, and we're good, right?
I have to watch 2.73 movies a day to
oh my
to be able
gosh.
to finish them by the time
you go back to work.
By the time I go back to work, but that's what the heck? Why not?
Why not? If you can, you should. Good for you.
I'm going to give it a whirl. We'll see how we do. We might give up.
Good.
But anyway, so what's your Pixie Dust?
Well, my Pixie Dust is I subscribe to a new streaming service, and I think I mentioned before that I always watch The Big Bang Theory when I'm on a plane. I never watched it when it was on TV, but I watch it when I'm on a plane. But I love it. It's fun.
I got a question for you, though, before you get going into this.
Okay.
So, but when you're on the plane, isn't it always the same episodes? So have you you've seen all these?
I'm kind of exhausted.
Those 10 or 12 episodes?
Yeah.
They're all random from different seasons?
And they're random from different seasons. So they never really made sense to me, which is why I was very excited when I got this streaming service. Truth be told, I got the streaming service so that I could binge The Big Bang Theory. So
atta girl.
Right? So while my sister's been in the hospital, your brain just isn't working and when you're under stress. So I've been binging The Big Bang Theory. And I love it. It's such a good show. It's entertaining. It doesn't hurt my brain. It's kind of one of those feel-good shows, and it's been keeping me company in the hospital. So, so that's been very good for me. And and I guess a little extra Pixie Dust would be the nurses and doctors taking care of my sisters. They are, we've talked about them before being the heroes in all of this. And my sister's not sick with COVID, but they are it takes a special kind of person to be a nurse, and they are absolutely incredible. So so that's my Pixie Dust. All right, Carrie. Well, this, as always, is fun, and I'm glad this is our first podcast of 2022, and we've got hundreds more to come.
Jeez, no pressure.
No pressure at all. Till next week.
See you real soon.
Thanks for listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
Make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast player so you'll get a new episode every week. And find us on social media too. We'd love to hear from you.
Till next time, remember, you are never too old to be young. Chase your dreams and design your own happily ever after.